All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Al-Anon Big Book Recovery Qualification meeting. Today is June 21st of 2026 at 5 o'clock p.m. My name is Heather M. I am the speaker today is going to be John A., and he will share what he used to be like, what happened, and what he is like now. In order to set the tone for this meeting, I ask we bow our heads in a few moments of silent prayer, meditation, followed by the Serenity Prayer. You're welcome to unmute and join me. God, grant me the
God,
serenity
Trinity,
to accept the
accept the
things I
things I
cannot
cannot change,
change, the courage to
courage to
change the
change the
things I
things I can,
can, and the
and
wisdom to know
wisdom.
the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. All right, so John, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, everybody, my name is John A. from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Originally from Nebraska, I was born and raised out in the middle of a cornfield next to a river, and had a really great childhood. And I am recovered but not cured Al-Anon. And I'll tell you what that means for me. And as we go along, I did have a fun childhood. Played a lot of baseball. Started wrestling when I was age 6. Baseball, t-ball at age 6. My dad was my coach for most of my baseball, wrestling. Got involved with midget football. Dad was always there supporting me. We lived out in the country. We had a lot of animals. We had chickens, ducks, geese, pigeons, rabbits. Had a raccoon for a while. Horses, you name it. Had a real fun childhood in many ways, and also had a really fun and enjoyable extended family too. Both of my grandparents on my parents' side were farmers, and so we got to go out in the farm and play around in the cornfields and be around the pigs and the cows and stuff like that. So in a lot of ways, many ways, I had a really wonderful childhood. But my dad had a drinking problem. He was a real functional drinker. He worked in for the same place for 43 years, and he was also the water meter reader in the little town I was from. And like I said, he was my wrestling coach, baseball coach, always there for me, playing. We went out to the lakes, went swimming. He'd take us out to the lakes, we'd go swimming. My dad is a real loving man, and people liked him, and he had a pretty easygoing personality, except sometimes he would get, as it's described in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, irritable, restless, and discontent. The irritable part was pretty obvious. Dad was a disciplinarian. If we got the pliers out, we needed to put the pliers back where we got them. Otherwise, Dad's irritation could really accelerate. Now, my dad, like I said, he worked the same job for 43 years and retired, and he would have a couple beers during the week. But then on the weekend, it could be wheels off, and most of the time it was, which means when he got off on Friday, he would have a cooler of beer waiting for him in his truck, and that's what he did every day of the week. But on Friday, he would have that cooler of beer in his back, and he would start drinking, and then he'd stop down at the bar for one, and then he would stay until 1 a.m. And the next thing you know, he would come home and be completely obliterated. And if anybody drinks to obliviation or blackout, there's no telling what that person would do. So he would drink to obliviation and blackout and not hardly remember anything the next day, I don't think. And there was chaos and drama in the home, things broken, people crying. Us kids would be scared and run upstairs and jump in bed because we knew if dad came home and we weren't in bed, it was not going to be pretty. To put it mildly. Dad would raise his voice, and when he started raising his voice, he would go on for about 20 minutes, and it would echo throughout the whole house. Just loud, intense yelling. So I was afraid of my dad's temper, so I became a people pleaser, always trying to make him happy, trying to keep him from being unhappy by being perfect, putting the pliers away, stacking the wood the way he wants me to stack it, going to bed when he wants me to go to bed, being a good boy, a good helper. I was always a good helper. One time, my mom's friend said, "John, you should become a pastor or a priest. You're such a good helper. You're always helping everybody." Well, what I know now, I was always trying to keep the peace, trying to keep people from being upset or sad or mad or feel bad. Always wanting to make everybody happy and please them. And somebody might say, "Hey, what's wrong with that?" Right? That's good to be that way. Well, I'll get into more of that as we go along here. But anyway, I continued to, I didn't know it at the time, but I started becoming a really dishonest person. People would ask me how I'm doing, and I'd say, just fine, doing good. How's everything at the house? How's your mom and dad getting along? It'd be like a deer in the headlights. Yeah, everything's going good. Everything's going good. I'm not going to say anything because I'm in grade school, right? I'm not going to tell anybody, "Oh my gosh, you should have been there last night. Plates were flying across the kitchen, exploding against the wall, ketchup dripping all over the place. You know, everybody crying, just chaos and drama." And I'm not going to tell anybody that when I'm in grade school because I don't want to ruin my parents' marriage. I don't want to break up the family. I want to control everything because I want things to be the way I want them to be. And I didn't, I started essentially being dishonest and lying about the reality of my life and the reality of my experience with the people in my life, and to try to protect them and cover up because I didn't want anything bad to happen to anybody because I loved them. Alcoholics, they're not bad people, they're just sick people. And it doesn't matter what addiction anybody's potentially has or suffering from. They're not bad people, they're just sick people. And they may not even be aware that they're sick. But anyway, my parents eventually got a divorce when I was 12 years old. And, bless my mom's heart. She would ask me several times what she should do or what she should do or what we should do or what she should do. And that's another thing I started doing when I was younger is playing the role of therapist, playing the role of counselor as a 12-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, giving advice to adults on what they should do with their life and what they should do with their family. A whole lot of pressure as a 12-year-old. But one night when everything was out of control again, my mom was crying and asked me what we should do. And I said, "Okay, let's go ahead and leave." And the next morning, we packed up in a what do they call it, a station wagon, and went into the next town up from where we live, and stayed with my grandma on my dad's side of the family. And it was totally devastating, shocking, overwhelming. I was definitely numb, and that was another thing that I didn't realize about me at the time is me going numb, uh, completely numb, dead and numb. Um, Feelings and emotions too powerful to deal with, not having the ability to deal with them, not knowing how to deal with them, just going numb and not talking, not expressing myself. And nobody in my family was a bad person. In fact, I was talking to one of my siblings, and when we look at our family, more non alcoholics went and sought professional help from treatment centers or that kind of thing than the actual alcoholics. And we giggled and said, my goodness, we were all nuts. We were all crazy. We were all insane. And we can laugh about it today because we're both in recovery and pursuing the spiritual path and the healing and all that stuff. And we've been able to see that. And um, I know I was talking with a friend the other day, and I said, the only thing different between me and somebody else who's also insane is I freely admit I'm insane, and I admit it. And as a result of that, I seek the sanity to be able to think straight and live straight on a daily basis on my better days, right? As opposed to not being able to admit that I'm insane, especially when it comes to the alcoholics in my life. And I'll talk about what that word insanity means. It doesn't mean I need to be locked up and throw away the key. All it means is me being unable to think straight at certain times, and me starting to think in ways that are not only not helpful for me and my happiness, but not helpful for other people and their happiness as well. So, and I'll get more into that too. We went to Al-Anon when I was 12, and I was so ashamed, so afraid that I didn't want to go back. All the people in Al-Anon were friendly people, nice people, and things like that, right? But I was afraid of seeing someone I might knew or I might know, and so I didn't want to go back. I just wanted to act like everything was okay all the time, and I couldn't deal with reality as I know it now. So it's just like, hey, let's just forget about everything, not think, and just try to move on with our life here. That's what I know now that I was thinking. It's like, let's just not think about anything. Let's suppress everything. Anyway, one of the things they did say was that my dad's not a bad person. He's a sick person. And I was really grateful to hear that, because I thought they were going to say he's going to burn in hell and he's the Antichrist. Because I grew up going to church, and I still go to church, and my interpretations weren't the best interpretations as I interpret things now. But I thought they said my dad was going to burn in hell. So I didn't want to hear that. But when he said my dad's not a bad person, he's just a sick person, I was like, yeah, I can get down with that. I love my dad, more than anything else. But there's still times where he overdoes his drinking, loses control, and then bad stuff happens. And then also when he's not drinking, he can become irritable. and I'll talk more about that too. But I went on with high school and college, played sports, got a scholarship to play football in college at a small Division II school in Nebraska. And sports, I would say sports probably helped me not commit suicide or not abusing drugs and alcohol myself to the point of death, and or not ending up in prison for some of the vandalism I did, or some of the I was a thief. Um, I thought, hey, you have more money than me. We don't have much money, and that's not fair. So I'm going to go into your garage at night and steal your stuff and give it to my dad. I stole a weed eater and an air blower one time, gave it to my dad. Where'd you get this? Oh, one of my friends gave it to me. His dad, whatever. I was a chronic liar. I got busted for MIP in high school, told my mom it wasn't my alcohol, even though she knew it was my alcohol. And she went and told the cop shop or whatever that it was her alcohol, and because she didn't want me to be in trouble, because she thought my dad would get upset. I was a chronic liar. I thought I was getting away with lying. I thought I was had everybody fooled, but I didn't have my mom fooled, that's for sure. And I wasn't getting away with anything because all my ways of dealing with life, reacting with life, would later destroy my life. And I'll get into that too. Later on, moved down to Texas in pursuit of money, power, prestige, sex, and security. Move away from all my problems, right? The alcoholics are the problems. The alcoholics are the problems. They're what making me miserable. Move down to Texas. I'll be happy then. I'll be a success. I'm better than those alcoholics. So I moved down here, and for a while, things were going really good. I was lighting it up, kind of like Bill Wilson. I had arrived. And then what happened is I came to the end of the road. My coping mechanisms for life ran its course, and I crashed and burned. I quit my job due to health problems, due to stress, really, and my lifestyle. And I started having health problems, so I quit my job. And at the same time, I bought a house, started a business on my own. And 4 short years later, I was totally unable to function. House in foreclosure, $50,000 worth of credit card debt. While the whole time thinking I'm just going to snap my fingers and turn everything around, just like I always do, right? I just turn on the mojo, turn on the magic, and make it happen. Make it happen. Well, guess what? It didn't happen, and everything got worse and worse and worse and worse. When it comes to Al-Anon, I am involved with another fellowship as well. When it comes to Al-Anon, a friend of mine, she said, "Oh my gosh, I love Al-Anon. I love Al-Anon. I love Al-Anon. Oh, I just love Al-Anon." I was like, well, after a while, I was like, maybe I got to go check out Al-Anon. And so I went to Al-Anon, and the same experiences I had when I was older. Wonderful people, friendly people, loving people. And I went to a lot of meetings for 3.5 years. I had a couple of different sponsors. I worked the steps out of a couple different books and worked them extremely slowly. I never got to step 12 after 3 years and 4 months. And mainly what I know now was I was dependent upon my sponsor at the time to try to help me feel better and things like that. And highly dependent upon my sponsor. And I was really lacking power. And what I know now is in my whole life, I was always lacking power. I didn't have the power to be honest. I didn't have the power to cope with my life or feelings. I didn't have the power to deal with reality. I didn't have that power. I was powerless. I had little control how situations, starting out with the alcoholic in my life and the family, affected me. So if you think about, well, let me stay on course here, if there is such a course. Eventually, what happened was I met another guy in the meeting and he said, "Hey, come to this other meeting." Or he invited me to come to the meeting that he was going to. And it was the primary purpose group of AA in Dallas here. And I went there and there was about 300 people there. Two said, "Hey, who's available?" And, before the meeting, they had a bunch of teenagers there, all kinds of people there. And I sat in that AA meeting and they said, if you've had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps and have the time and willingness to sponsor others, please stand up. The whole room roared to their feet. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Um, I don't, uh, I don't have a clue how to help anybody. I'm still coming to meetings to get help for me, to try to feel better. And I've been, air quote, working on myself for 3.5 years. And what happened is they invited me to go to a foundation meeting. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to that. And an alcoholic conducted the foundation meeting. And he was such a clear communicator. And he kept things so simple that I could understand. And what he said was that alcoholics have an allergy to alcohol, that they have no control or power how the first drink affects them. They have no control how alcohol affects them, and especially at certain times. And what happens is it creates a craving for more alcohol and more alcohol and more alcohol. And so that would explain that when I was working out in the backyard with my dad building chicken coops or building fences, and dad would say, "Hey, can you go get me another beer? Hey, can you go get me another beer?" Well, I asked Dad, are you that thirsty? And he's, no, he's not thirsty. He's an alcoholic. And he has this craving for alcohol that once he starts, he wants another one and another one and another one. He's never satisfied. Once he starts, he can't stop. And and at certain times, he has absolutely no control how much he drinks. Obliteration, blackout. And despite saying he's just going to have two. And then he said alcoholics have a spiritual malady. They get restless, irritable, and discontent at certain times. And nothing causes them to get restless, irritable, and discontent at certain times. It's a spiritual malady. No one's causing them to get restless, irritable, and discontent. It's an internal condition that they suffer from at certain times. And and what happens as they start to think, as every human being would think, what we can do to make ourselves feel better. And for him, it was a drink of alcohol. He gets off work, he has a beer on ice in his truck. 3:30 hits, he cracks open that first one, and it's like magic. And his mind starts thinking about what will make him feel better, what will change the way he feels, what can change how he feels. He doesn't feel good. He's irritable, restless, and discontent. He wants to feel better. An alcoholic drink will make him feel better. Or it could be a good day great or a bad day tolerable. Hey, everything's going great. Let's make it better by have a beer. And he's an alcoholic, so once he starts at certain times, he can't stop. And for some people, it's every single time that once they start, they can't stop. So I started looking at that. I worked the steps with that alcoholic, had a spiritual awakening, started sponsoring alcoholics and found out I wasn't an alcoholic. And it's like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic because I could just take it or leave it. I hadn't drank in 5 years. I can just take it or leave it, take it or leave it. And what happened is I started going to the Al-Anon side of the building. They had a meeting at the same time. And these people were working the steps straight out of the big book just as intensely and seriously as the alcoholics. And they were having spiritual awakenings and making themselves available for sponsorship too. And they're, like I said, they're working the steps just as intensely as the alcoholics. And they explained to me on the board that, John, you're not an alcoholic, but you're just like an alcoholic. You have no control how the alcoholic affects you at certain times. What does that mean? Well, at certain times, I get irritated, annoyed, bothered, and disturbed. I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel shame, and I'm unhappy, and I'm thinking it's because of the alcoholic. The whole time I'm thinking it's because of the alcoholic. And what I found out is it's not because of the alcoholic. I have the spiritual malady too. I have the alcoholic has little or no control how alcohol affects them. I have little or no control how they affect me internally. And I would blame the alcoholic for that. But what I found out was that was a spiritual malady. That I get irritated, annoyed, bothered, disturbed. I feel shame, guilt, remorse, no matter what, just like the alcoholics. The alcoholics have no control at certain times how much they drink. And they say they're not going to drink, and they drink anyway. And that brings up the unmanageable part of step one. The powerlessness part is they're powerless over alcohol, that once they start, they can't stop, little or no control. They're powerless how it affects them. I'm powerless how the alcoholic affects me at certain times. I get annoyed, stay annoyed. I get bothered, irritated, annoyed, disturbed. I stay irritated, bothered, annoyed, and disturbed, unhappy, depressed, whatever it might be. And again, the alcoholic starts thinking, if only I can get a drink, then I'll feel better. I start thinking, if only I can keep them from drinking, then I'll feel better. Or if only I can keep them from being unhappy, then I'll feel better. If only I can make them happy, then I'll feel better. If only I can please them, then I'll feel better. On and on and on, right? If only I can rescue them, teach them, lecture them, counsel them, play the role of junior therapist with them, then they'll feel better, then I'll feel better. That's insanity. And I know it's insanity now because they stopped drinking and I still don't feel better. I'm still restless, irritable, and discontent, full of shame, guilt, and remorse because of my spiritual malady and my own behavior in my own life. I admitted in step one that I have a spiritual malady no matter what, whether they're drinking or not. And I have a mental obsession with them, whether they're drinking or not. Just like alcoholics, they have a spiritual malady, whether they're drinking or not. And that obsession can come back up for them when they're not drinking or when they're drinking. So I'm starting to see a lot of parallels with myself as an alcoholic. And the delusion that I'm unhappy because of somebody else is so powerful that it would allow me to think I'm better than the alcoholic. I'm better than the alcoholics. I'm not passed out on the floor. I'm not busting up furniture. I'm not getting DWIs or rolling vehicles. Now, by the way, you can do all that stuff and still not be an alcoholic. So let's just make that clear. But I was looking at all the reasons why I was better than them. And I'm not as bad as them. And I don't need help. They need help. They're the problem, not me. Well, in that step one, I admitted that my life's unmanageable because I'm unable to manage my thinking in my life. I have a spiritual malady, whether they're drinking or not. I suffer from these insane thoughts, whether they're drinking or not. More of the insane thoughts are, well, like I've already shared, if I could make them happy, then I'll be happy. I can't be happy unless they're happy because then they're going to start drinking. And I need to fix them to fix myself. A lot of insanity there. And I found out none of that's actually true. And that's what insane thinking is, believing something that's true that's not true. It's just like acting like the Cookie Monster's in your closet and really believing it in something that's true that's not true. You're delusional. There's no Cookie Monster in your closet. So I admitted that I was insane, and I had some hope that maybe what was working for others might work for me too. And remember, my life was totally out of control. House in foreclosure, credit card debt, uh, totally depressed, hopeless, health problems all over the place, financial problems, unhealthy relationships, quality of life on the floor. I had hit bottom, at least at that time for myself. Definitely deeper bottoms anybody can experience. And we don't have to lose everything to become willing to change. But I had some hope that maybe what was working for others might work for me too. And I made a decision to work these steps to see if what has helped so many alcoholics be restored to sanity and have an enjoyable full life and laugh and have fun and have healthy relationships, get jobs, start making money, get cars, start living a normal functional life again. I saw them being so helpful to other people and the Al-Anons. I saw everybody in the building, 400 people, being helpful, happy, joyous, and free. I'm like, man, I want what you all have. I want to do this thing. And it was comforting for me to know I didn't have to consider anybody else's conception of God. That whatever my conception was plenty good. And I can find out and develop my own relationship with a power greater than myself. And the problem was I had a lack of power. And I knew that my whole life. Here's the story of my life before I started working this program. It's on page 52 in the big book. And I'm just going to personalize it. It says, John was having trouble with personal relationships. I was selfish and self-centered and inconsiderate, self-absorbed, a self-seeker, always trying to get something from someone. It was always all about me. John couldn't control his emotional natures. Man, I had depression, big time depression for as long as I can remember. And it said, John was prey to misery and depression. There you go. John couldn't make a living. I became not able to function anymore. John had feelings of uselessness, and that's an understatement. John was full of fear. Understatement. John was unhappy. I was unhappy with everything. I hate everything about me. John couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be someone who could be of real help to other people. And when I saw those hundreds of people happy, joyous, and free and helping others recover, I said, that's my ticket. That is my ticket right there to become someone who can be of real help to other people. This is the pathway for me. I just knew it. And I had like I said, a powerful spiritual awakening, worked the steps and got started on, did the third step prayer, made a decision to do the steps, said a prayer on my knees with my sponsor on a Thursday. I did the 4-step inventory Saturday morning. Only took me about 45 minutes. That night, I did my 5th step with my sponsor, which is basically talking about everything, all your resentments and your fears and your conduct, basically everything you're ashamed of and how you've been treating people and everything you've done in your life that potentially have harmed people. And I started seeing all these repetitive patterns. And I get angry when people don't behave how I want them to behave. I'm afraid of not getting what I want, losing what I have. I'm angry at myself because what I did, that kind of stuff. And I went home that night, did the 6-step prayer, did the 7-step prayer. 6th step is, hey, if you still want to change, it's like the only requirement for membership in AA is you got to want to stop drinking. Well, in order to achieve anything in life, you have to have a desire to do it. Clean your car, you got to have a desire to do it. If you want to change and be happy, you got to have a desire. So made that decision in step 3 to change. And then step 6 is like, hey, are you still in this? Yeah, I'm still in this. Help me be willing. It's a willingness prayer. I'm still in it. I want to let go of all this old way of thinking. Step 7 is my creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. My own thinking made me miserable, not the alcoholics. I always blame the alcoholics and other people, but it was my own thinking that made me miserable. Nobody else made me miserable. I have a spiritual malady and an obsession of the mind. I don't have the power to not obsess. I don't have the power to just don't worry and be happy. I don't have the power to, on my own, to start thinking differently and behaving differently. So lack of power is a problem. Power is a solution. I need power. I need access to the power, and I need to find out what's blocking me from the power. And what was blocking me from the power was my resentful way of thinking, my fearful way of thinking, and then getting sick and tired of not getting what I want, and then just doing something and then harming someone in the process. So that stuff has to be removed for me to have access to the power. The power enters me, and I'm restored spiritually to a state of being happy, joyous, and free, not all the time, but almost all the time, a lot of the time. And freedom from my obsession to try to fix, change, control, and manipulate people to behave how I want them to behave to be happy. The big book says our recovery is not dependent upon people like I thought it was. I thought people could make me happy, and I was dependent upon people to make me happy. It's dependent upon a relationship with God. I started making amends for when I lied, what I stole, how I harmed people. It was amazing. I made financial amends. I cleaned up to $50,000 worth of debt, settled everything, paid back people that I owed money, restored relationships, restored my relationship with God, restored my relationship with myself. And then my sponsor said, okay, it's time to go start helping people. And so I started offering myself to be a sponsor to others. And Al-Anon, Al-Anon is a little bit different because alcohol, you're either drinking or not drinking. With Al-Anon, it's you can be obsessing about an alcoholic or not, but you could also be obsessing about other people too. And you can be restless, irritable, and discontent, the spiritual malady, no matter what. So it's a little bit more deceiving, really. But if I'm ever blaming anybody for my unhappiness, that means I'm in deception mode again. But as far as like Al-Anon, hey, is your life unmanageable? No, my life's not unmanageable. Oh, okay, great. But every once in a while, you'll have a family member show up. Hey, does your life happen to be? You're going to talk to them, right? Hey, does your life happen to be unmanageable? Yeah, it sure is. I'm going broke. My health's in the gutter. I'm a train wreck. And then you show them what the problem is. It's like, oh, that's me, that's me, that's me. And maybe what's working for you might work for me. They have the same reaction I had. And it's like, hey, if you want me to be my sponsor, we can set up some other time to talk if you want to. I can explain you more if you want me to. And it's up to you, totally up to you. We go to treatment centers and help people carry the message to the friends and family members of alcoholics and the alcoholics as well, because the alcoholics are under the impression that they made us unhappy. And I'm quick to say, no, you didn't make me unhappy. I made myself unhappy. Because if you made me unhappy, then you need to make me happy. And I don't want to depend upon you for my happiness. Um, Step 10 is continuing to work steps 4 through 9 the rest of our life. Step 11 is prayer and meditation, which I was already doing before I started working the steps. Step 12 says for the alcoholics and Al-Anons, nothing will so much ensure immunity or help us more than intensive work with other Al-Anons. It works when everything else fails. So if when I saw the alcoholics intensely helping other alcoholics and their life changing for the better dramatically, and I said, maybe if I do what they did, I can get what they got. When I saw the Al-Anons intensely helping other people, taking them through the steps, helping them have a spiritual awakening, I did the same thing. Not helping in an enabling way, but helping people work the steps and have a spiritual awakening. That's what I'm qualified to do. Um, my life has changed. My health has been restored dramatically. My finances have been restored. My capacity for work has been restored. I'm operating at a very high level these days. I'm not cured. So it's just like working out at the gym. You don't work out once and then don't come back for 6 months and expect not to lose muscle and gain fat. So it's something that you just keep at it, you keep at it, you keep at it, try to stay spiritually fit. Um, what else? I never canceled any of my family members, my alcoholics, as a result of my participation with Al Anon. I saw them as sick people and not bad people. I stayed in my dad's life. I stayed in my stepdad's life. I stayed in everybody's life. I didn't cancel them. I didn't. In fact, our relationships got better and better and better and better and better as time went on, and they didn't have to stop drinking for my relationship to not get better with them. They always said, "John, you're so easy to talk to." My brother, he said, "You're the only one I can talk to," and everybody's really passed away now, but I'm so grateful for Al-Anon because our relationships got so much better as I continued to make spiritual progress. And I'm really grateful. Been at it for 24 years. Um, let's see, anything else? I'll just close with the ninth step, ninth step promises. And the ninth step promises, let's see here, it says, if we're painstaking about this phase of our development, we're going to be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness, new freedom, new happiness, new power. We're not going to regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we're going to see how our experience can benefit others. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We'll suddenly realize that God is doing for us that we could not do for ourselves. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John. That was so powerful. I just want to take a moment. Does anybody have any questions for John?
It's Joy. May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Oh, hi. Um, it's such a great share, John, and I thought maybe because I know that you have an in-person meeting in Dallas, and sometimes our meetings are virtual, and just kind of the things that you kind of do. I know you talked a little bit about the things you do out in the community, like going to detoxes and whatnot. Are there other things that you kind of do in person, as far as helping other finding family members to help?
Um, well, uh, I live in Dallas, Fort Worth, and there's probably 40 to 50 to 60 treatment centers around here. So we're really spoiled. So we do have an in-person Big Book Al-Anon meeting that we go to once a week, and then we come over here to the 24-hour club, a homeless shelter, once a week and do a meeting. And then we've gone to other facilities as well. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. And yeah, there are some telemeetings and stuff like that and Zoom meetings that I'll supplement my in-person meetings with.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What is your favorite passage in the Big Book?
Oh boy. Well, here recently, in step 3, I've been obsessing about this a little bit. It says, when we make a decision, remember, step 3 is a decision. We haven't done anything yet. We've just decided to do something, which is to work steps 4 through 12. So, in merely just making a decision, to do something about my problem, which is my thinking, it says, we felt new power flow in. And that really goes with anything in life. When we finally decide to do the dishes or do anything for that matter, we probably start to feel new power flow in. We start to probably feel better already. It's like once we make a decision to do something, which is what step 3 is, and then in the program we ask God, there's a prayer, we ask God for help, we start feeling better already. And that new power, and that's what I need. I need the power. The power is what enables me to think and act in a certain way where I'm really enjoying my life and I'm happy. I need that power. Without that power, my default again is finding everything that I think is wrong with everything and everybody, including myself. So I need the power to, we have the prayers. God, direct my thinking, inspire my thinking. We're asking the power, God, to inspire my thinking, direct my thinking, direct my thinking. I'm reliant and dependent upon the power, greater myself, God. So I'm always wanting to turn back to the power, for the power to think differently. I need inspiration, I need direction, things like that. So, and it says it in another part of the book too, new power flowing in. And I need the power every single day. I need that power. Anyway, anything else? Anybody else?
It's Terry Lynn here. I have a comment. I love what you said about how you went to that big meeting all those years ago, and when they asked if anyone was willing to sponsor this incredible amount of people, all stood up. That is such a great visual In our virtual meeting, of course, we announce as sponsors on the line, so we don't see that, but I think I'll always picture it that way from now on, as just people standing up one after another as we announce our names. That is so cool. Yeah.
Another thing is see, if I'm blocking myself from the power is not going to come, it's not going to enter me. So I need access to the power so the power can enter me. And so I need to find out what's blocking me from the power. And what's always blocking me from the power is my own thinking. So that's why we work the steps. It's really, it's a simple program and it can be explained, but it's not easy to work. It takes work and effort. You got to really be desperate and you got to want to change. And the other thing is I'm a health professional. And in the big book, it says when we straighten out spiritually, we straighten out mentally and we straighten out physically. And see, I was always trying, I didn't know I needed to straighten out spiritually, but I was always trying to straighten out physically so I could be happy and healthy and have healthy relationships. You know, the finances, the health, and it was, and then mentally, I was listening to a lot of self-help material, Zig Ziglar and all that stuff. It all has its place, right? But I was always trying to listen to self-help stuff, I was looking for that psychic change. And then I figured if I keep working out and exercise and eating right, everything's going to turn out. But see, I had chronic health problems. I had chronic financial problems. My relationships were, I was selfish and self-centered in my relationships with people. I treated people selfishly. So no amount of working out or self-help tapes dramatically transformed that for me at all. I kept getting worse. So when I saw you need to straighten out spiritually, John, that's when I abandoned myself to God in this program. And as a result of that, I have been able to make tremendous progress with my thinking. And I find myself being happy almost all the time and enjoying life and being optimistic and looking forward to things where that was not my experience before. And then my physical problems have tremendously straightened out as well. Chronic pain and fatigue and eating problems. And hey, I had all the problems, sex problems, money problems, every problem. So, but it's weird to think that if you straighten out, I thought it was spiritually, you straighten out mentally and physically. It's no, you need to attack the problem. And like a football player. But it's no, it's like, if I want to win, I got to surrender. I got to give up because I got to surrender control of my life to God. I need to turn everything over to the care of God and that kind of thing. So it is kind of baffling, but everybody I know who's on this call knows what I'm talking about.
Hey, John, would you like to leave your phone number?
Yes, it's 817-217-1177, 817-217-1177.
Thank you so, so much for being on this meeting. If there aren't any more questions, I will go ahead and close the meeting. Seventh tradition, every group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. This group does not have a payment structure in place and currently has no overhead expenses. If you would like to fulfill tradition 7, please send contributions directly to the Al-Anon World Service Office by visiting alanon.org. For questions about this meeting or if you're looking for a sponsor, please send emails to alanonbigbookrecovery@gmail.com. Recordings can be accessed on YouTube by typing at Al-Anon Step Speaker in the YouTube search box or on Spotify at Al-Anon Step Speaker Series. If you're interested in other Al-Anon meetings that follow the Big Book, please visit AlanonBigBookSolutionGroup.org. Now let's have a moment of silence for the Al-Anon who still suffers, followed by the Lord's Prayer or prayer of your own choosing said in silence. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.